better than the income, and better than the success as far as having an organization is concerned, is the challenge of leadership. The challenge to be something special, something extraordinary, to rise above just the mediocre, to be something more than just average, a chance to exert your influence, to touch people you never could have touched if you hadn't developed some leadership skills. And leadership, of course, starts early in Herbalife. When a person sponsors someone into the business, they have to exercise a certain level of leadership. Leadership at that level. Even if you're new in the business, of course, you now know more than the person who hasn't been exposed to the opportunity before, so you exercise your leadership role in just sharing the opportunity of Herbalife products and Herbalife opportunity, that level of leadership at that level. But then Herbalife now challenges you to take that early experience of leading someone to the discovery of Herbalife, of leading someone to take advantage of the opportunity, of leading someone to lay the foundation for their own career, to take that now and start learning all the skills right on up to the top, to where someday your influence will cover thousands of people instead of just a few. Perhaps some of you that I'm talking to today, your influence will absolutely touch the lives of millions of people, starting with the few that you started with when you got started. But now that you've got your organization spread around the world, now that you have learned all of those skills and you've exercised leadership to the best of your ability, now you have the opportunity to touch the lives of millions of people directly and indirectly. That was the magic of Mark's marketing system. Not just to be able to touch the lives of the people directly, but to indirectly affect the lives of hundreds of people, perhaps thousands of people for some of you. And for some of you, the number is going to be millions of people indirectly affected by your influence and your leadership. So it's a very valuable subject to study, the subject of leadership, because it has such incredible positive consequences if it's done right, with the right attitude, with the right vision, with the right perception. No telling how far ideas finally go in touching people's lives. No telling how far into what remote corners of the world the influence of Herbalife product, the influence of Herbalife testimonials, the influence of Herbalife business reaches people, many of whom you will never see in your lifetime. But the influence started by you that affected 5, that affected 50, that affected 500, now affecting many thousands, will be reaching people you'll never see. But you can surmise, you can calculate that for the ones you do know about, there's thousands you don't know about, but the influence is just as valuable, just as powerful. It's incredible. I was reading the book called Think and Grow Rich, and it had a list of what Napoleon Hill thought was a good list of the qualities and the major attributes of being a leader. And I thought it was such a good list. I made the list in my own notes, and now the purpose is for me to get my notes into your notes, to get what's in my head into your head, so that it won't stop with you, so that what we share here together today will be passed on, passed on. That's why I do what I do. I do take great pleasure in touching the people that I can see, shake hands with, say hello to, an audience that you can see. But I am also aware of the unseen audience that's being affected by whatever we do. So now I've got a chance to do that. And I think the way for me to be effective with all of you today, and then you pass it on to many people beyond what I can see, is just an exciting opportunity for me. Now let me give you this list. It's a pretty good list. Napoleon said, number 1, a leader needs unwavering courage. And I don't know if I totally agree with the unwavering part of this or not, because sometimes our courage does waver a little. You know, bend but not break. You know, courage mounts up, and then sometimes we have the doubts that creep in, and we reach a little deeper to find that courage that overcomes our doubts and our fears. So I would probably debate a little bit with Napoleon on this unwavering courage, because sometimes courage does waver. But as long as it stays, as long as in the end there it is to serve you, the courage to do what you didn't think you could do, the courage to step into territory that might be a little unfamiliar, the courage to talk to somebody you don't know, the courage to attempt conducting a meeting, the courage to give your first testimonial, the courage to solve problems you couldn't solve before, that kind of courage. The courage to stand up when it's sort of dark in your corner, the courage to do it when it isn't going your way seemingly, the courage to try to have a good day in the midst of a bad day, that kind of courage. Wavering a little at times, yes, because we all have doubts that attack us. We all have small fears that creep in. That is the nature of life. But that's what faith is all about. That's what courage is all about, to serve us when our doubts will not serve us well. Faith to overcome fear and courage to overcome our doubts. But that is a good quality, a good attribute for a leader, and that's unwavering courage. Second, Napoleon said self-control. That, of course, is the very essence of life itself, is self-control. Because we all have this warfare going on. You know, it's going on in the world, the warfare between liberty and tyranny. In our own body, the warfare between health and illness, the struggle is on. The struggle between light and darkness, the struggle between good and evil. I call it opposites in conflict. And as soon as you're born into the world, as soon as you find yourself and discover yourself on this spinning planet headed somewhere, you know that this exists. To be a civilized society, we must drive the dark side of our nature into a small corner and let the positive side flourish. Early, we must learn to exercise self-control. Power is a wonderful thing, but it must be exercised properly. It must be exercised to benefit and not to destruction. So self-control is certainly necessary to be a strong leader, so that you can become the best example. The example of having your temper well managed, to having that dark side of your nature under control. The best example of choosing wise words and not being careless, that kind of control. Control of your appetite, control of your desires, so that they fit into the positive side of life and not the negative side. Self-control, very important. Then he said a leader must have a keen sense of justice. How very true. Justice we become familiar with, even when we're small, when certain things that happened or were done to us that something told us that wasn't right. Someone did us wrong. We have that sense of right and wrong, and it starts very early. Then we have to have that sense of utilizing what's right and what's wrong so that we develop this sense of justice, this sense of being fair, this sense of being on the positive side, on the right side. To minimize a person's mistakes, they need to have this sense of justice. We have to have justice when we're building an organization. What's fair, what is a good balance. The marketing system that Mark put together has to be fair for everyone. If you have a customer and you take care of that customer, someone else cannot come along and take that customer. The same is true with the distributor. Certain rules and regulations, so that all of us have a chance to fit within this framework of fairness, justice, and what's right. Otherwise, enterprise cannot work. Otherwise, we have what we call, in a political sense, anarchy, where there is no justice, when might is the order of the day, power is the order of the day, not the law, not the rule, not what's right, but power. And we would all dismiss that. It's been a catastrophe in the last 6,000 years the governments that resorted to power instead of democracy, that resorted to intimidation instead of freedom. And we all know the terrible toll that that takes. But it takes a toll not only politically in a country or politically around the world, but it takes a toll even in enterprise. It takes a toll in school if a teacher is unfair. It takes a toll in working on a team where someone is unfair or where the leadership is not fair in the administration of justice. So this is true, a keen sense of justice and what's fair and what's right. Part of this we have to learn as we go. You know, you don't have it all the first year. You haven't got it all the second year, the third year. After all the years that I've, been around, both as a human being and as a business person, we're still, even at these years, trying to decide what's best, what's fair, what's right, to give balance to our life and to build on a firm foundation for the future. So I agree with Napoleon. Good idea. A sense of justice. Here's another one, he said, definiteness of decision. Indecision is the thief of opportunity. If you don't decide, the opportunity could slip away. If you don't decide what you're going to do today, the day could get away and you're not very effective. I talked about in my recent travels about time management, and here's one of the best ideas of time management. Don't start the day until you have it finished. Is it possible to finish the day before you start it? And the answer is yes. If you don't finish it to the best of your ability, have some idea, some good plan, sure enough, the day escapes. And in the morning you say, let's see, what should I do now? In the afternoon you say, hey, time's getting away from me, what should I do now? And now most of the day is lost. Most of the day escapes not being utilized and doesn't work for you simply because you didn't make those decisions early, at the early part of the day. The decisions we make in the early part of our life sometimes last for a lifetime. The early decisions that you make about what you're going to do with your life as far as Herbalife is concerned, those decisions are vitally important. If you neglect them and don't make them, sure enough, the time passes and the opportunity sometimes is diminished, and sometimes you spend a lot of time now catching up simply because you didn't make those early decisions. So it's the decisions at the first of the day, it's the decisions at the early part of the month, it's the decisions at the early part of the year that greatly determines what kind of year you're going to have. The decisions you make in the early days of your marriage, sometimes those are the decisions that affect the marriage for a lifetime. The decisions you make at the first chance you see opportunity, those decisions, what you're going to do with it, how far you're going to take it, what it's going to be meaning to you in the years to come. Those early decisions are vitally important. Then we need decisions to correct poor decisions, to overcome our mistakes. It's possible, of course, for all of us to make unwise decisions. And at the end of one year, at the end of 1 week, 1 month, or at the end of a few years, we say, that decision cost me too much. Cost me a lot of time, cost me a lot of money, cost me maybe a good relationship, cost me a chance to be productive. But as long as you're alive, there's still a chance to use new decision power to correct the mistakes of decisions that were bad in the past. All of us have the opportunity to do that, but I think Napoleon was right here too. You got to be definite in making decisions so that the opportunity doesn't pass you by. Take advantage. Here's the next one. Napoleon Hill said, a good leader has definite plans. How important that is. And of all the years, I think, to cash in on Herbalife's momentum and make some plans for the future, this has got to be one of the greatest years. Herbalife in these 18 years now has created some incredible momentum, not only in opening up the countries, but momentum in the refinement of our marketing, momentum in developing new products, momentum in developing our support system. The key is now for you to make plans to ride on that momentum. Herbalife is like the tide that comes in, and the rising tide lifts all the ships if they're in the water. If your ship and your boat is not in the water, even though the tide comes in that would lift all the ships, If yours is not in the water, then it doesn't benefit you. So here's what you should do. Have the same intensity to make your plans for the future as Mark Hughes has. As the President's team, Chairman's Club especially, make the plans for the Herbalife Company future, you've got to now make your plans. Don't let this momentum pass you by. Don't let this momentum go uncashed in on. Don't let it be like a lost cause for you. And maybe you've, because of the lack of plans, have lost a month or two, or you've lost a week or two, or maybe you've lost a year and you were 10% effective instead of 100%. Now's the time to change all that and start making some plans. Your Herbalife plans, they're vitally important. You might as well cash in on the Herbalife plans for world expansion, the Herbalife plans for expansion within your country, the Herbalife plans for the expansion of the business, the incentives. Cash in on that, capture that, and say, I've got to have some plans that match Herbalife. Not necessarily match Herbalife in numbers, but that can match Herbalife in momentum, that can match Herbalife in cashing in on the opportunity, your plans for Herbalife expansion. You got to have some plans for your family, right? You got to take your family along, don't leave them out. One of the challenges all of us have in making our plans is how to balance everything, to make sure that we don't regret at the end of the year, I spent too much time on that. I spent too much money. And then if you have, say, how can I not do that again? And construct some better plans so that you won't have any regrets at the end of a year to come, 5 years to come, 3 or 4, 5 years to come. Definite plans. The plans for the use of your money. One thing I've admired about Mark Hughes since I've met him all those years ago, once he started becoming successful, he had a splendid plan, not only for his personal success in terms of financial security, but in terms of the company. Because Mark has to look after the company and make sure that the company is secure, that the company has plenty of reserves, so that no matter what happens around the world, and when you're doing business in 37 countries, you can imagine what the challenge is to make sure the plans for each country are there, the backup plans, the financial plans, as well as products and opportunity and marketing. It is a challenge beyond comprehension to most of us what kind of planning that takes in terms of trying to make Herbalife secure for the future. I described it in one of the summit classes as Mark takes the same pledge that the President of the United States takes, and that is to preserve and protect and defend the Constitution, says the President. But Mark has to preserve and protect and defend the company to make sure it's viable, not just in America where it started, but all around the world in each country. It's an awesome responsibility. But now for you, your plans to be financially secure. If you're starting to make some big money in Herbalife, I'm telling you, you got to have a good plan for your resources so that you find yourself secure regardless of what happens. I agree with Napoleon here. You got to have good plans. One more on plans, and that is the plan for your personal development. The plan to be better this year than last year. The plan to take the classes, attend the workshops, do everything you possibly can to show personal progress, not just financial progress, not just the progress of having one more car or one more home, but the progress of personality, the progress of communication skills, the progress of recruiting skills, the progress in how to deal with people, progress in using your influence so that it multiplies its power by 5 by 10 versus what it used to be. You need those kind of plans. A plan for personal growth, personal development, a plan to be all that you can possibly be in the years to come as you develop your Herbalife business and your life business and your family business, all of that. Got to have good plans. Next, Napoleon Hill had a good saying. It was something my father had and passed it on to me as a good philosophy, and here's what he said. A good leader has the habit of doing more than what he gets paid for. What an incredible philosophy this is. The habit of doing more than you get paid for. It's what we call the service that you put out like seeds in the ground that doesn't bring the harvest immediately, but the harvest is yet to come. It's called like putting out the capital in capitalism. Doing more than you get paid for means that you're getting ready for the next move up. Because if you do more than you get paid for, you've made an investment. The average person might think if I do more than the company requires, then they're ripping me off. I'm not getting paid for that extra time, that extra attention. But you must not view it that way. You must say, I'm getting there a little earlier, staying a little later, as an investment in my own personal future. Because I want that kind of reputation. I want that kind of philosophy to work in my life. Do more than you get paid for. And this philosophy works incredibly well in Herbalife. You make the Herbalife sale of the Herbalife products. Now you must do more than you've gotten paid for. Right? They've got the product, you've got the money. But you can't stop your investment there. Now you must develop the investment in time, effort, and energy in turning that new customer into a testimonial. And sometimes that's the most difficult work, the work after the sale. Because the sale might be fairly easy. Someone says, hey, I've been looking for this product, I need it, here's my money. But now you've got to stay with them, make sure they don't just buy the product, but that they use the product. And that they don't just use the product, they keep using the product. That's the work after the sale. But if you learn to make that kind of an investment and do more than you get immediately paid for, the payoff in the future can be fantastic. Because as we all know in Herbalife, what really pays off is not a sale of the product. What really pays off is a testimonial. A testimonial that gives you more sales than you can keep up with. A testimonial that takes you places you could never go by yourself, introduces you to people you'd never see on your own. That kind of investment is so powerful. So you do more than you get paid for up front. It's happened for me, making the investment. When I first started lecturing 36 years ago, I talked to high school classes, college classes, service clubs, and I gave it all away. I went and talked for free. Someone said, Mr. Owen, would you come and do this breakfast talk? I said, sure. Could you do this luncheon talk for this service club? I said, of course. And all of that in the beginning was for free. Primarily because I'd made my fortune. I didn't need the money, but I did it for free. But look what it's made for me by giving that kind of service in those early days. And finally it led to business and led to an enterprise. And I was giving the seminar all those years ago here in Los Angeles, and Mark Hughes was in my audience. So what you don't get paid for, don't worry about that. Just render the service with the vision of the future that it'll come back multiplied if you have this kind of habit, this kind of philosophy. Next, Napoleon Hill talks about personality. You need a pleasing personality. There's many parts to your personality. One is your working personality. The kind of behavior, the kind of attitude that you need, especially in the public. Some things you can kind of get by with, being a little careless, maybe in private, but in public, where it counts so much in your paycheck, it counts so much in building your business for the future, your own personality. But here's what you also must remember. You develop your personality in private so that it serves you well in the public. Sometimes we get the mistaken idea, I can be careless with just these few and be more careful when I have 1,000. But see, that doesn't work that way. Careless with a few, sure enough, that will creep into your presentation for 1,000 people. Here's the best practice, and the Herbalife opportunity in our marketing systems gives you the best chance to do that. The influence you have one-on-one, that's what really counts. You say, well, I'm only talking to 2 people, it doesn't matter much. That's when it really matters. Because if you'll practice well there, using your personality, using your influence, to get someone's attention, to get them to listen, to get them to participate, the kind of personality that someone says, I'd like to be around this person. They're unusual. They're not like the average person I meet on my everyday experience. That kind of personality. But you've got to practice it behind the scenes. You've got to practice it one-on-one. And if you're effective one-on-one, 1-on-3, 1-on-5, I promise you, that will get you ready to now perform with the kind of personality, the kind of charisma that wins people when you're in front of 500 people, 1,000 people, 5,000. So this is a good point, working on your personality. Here's the best gift you can give someone, and that's the gift of attention. Attention is so powerful. When I was a young man, I met Nelson Rockefeller, one of the richest men in America at that time. He's gone now, but he was a unique individual, ran for vice president of the United States. And I had a chance to be where he was holding a press conference, and I got close enough so that when he walked out, I had a chance to step up, right, when security was not all that severe in those days, and I had a chance to put out my hand, shake his hand, and say, "Mr. Rockefeller, my name is Jim Rohn." And what I remember most was the attention he gave me. With the lights of the cameras around and everybody all around, he looked right at me and said, "Jim Rohn, where are you from?" I said, "Idaho." He said, "I really like Idaho. It's one of my favorite states in all of the country." And for just a few seconds, he gave me his attention, shook my hand. I'll never forget the handshake, right? One of those multi-million-dollar handshakes. But I'll never forget that personal attention he gave me, just for a few seconds. It was powerful. Made an impression on me that's lasted until this day. That's why I remember to tell the story. So, same thing you can learn to do. Utilize your personality, utilize your influence, give people the gift of attention. Here's the rest of my list now as we finish up. Next, Napoleon Hill said a leader needs sympathy and understanding. We have to develop that early in our lives. All of our lives, we have to look at those that are less fortunate than we are, those who need a helping hand, and especially now we learn to look at those who need an opportunity, those who need a change in their health, those who need a change in their life and in their lifestyle. It's this kind of sympathy and understanding that drove Mark Hughes to construct the company, right? His mother died from a drug overdose, didn't have Herbalife products, got hooked on the diet drugs. Mark says, if these products would have been available, my mother, I think, would be alive today. That kind of understanding. And he said, I know there's millions of other mothers like my mother. I couldn't help my mother. That was past. But I could help a few million mothers in the future that won't have to die, that won't have to have those kind of health problems or face that kind of challenge if I develop the right kind of products. It took that kind of understanding, that kind of sympathy, that kind of deep emotional feeling. Then Mark understood what it meant to be poor. He understood what it meant not to have. He understood what it meant to be short on finances, on resources. He understood what it meant to lack, a full formal education. He knew all of those lacks. And instead of crying about it, he said, what I will do is change it for myself, and then I'll help other people that have the same challenge. Lack of education, lack of the money, lack of the resources, lack of good health, faced with all kinds of difficulties they can't solve. I'll get mine solved, and then I'll be strong enough and have the skills to where I can help other people. Like I couldn't help my mother, but like I could help myself. That kind of leadership quality is so powerful. That kind of understanding. Here's the next one. A leader must have, Napoleon said, a mastery of the details. How very true. All can be lost with just a couple of missing details. On the trip to the moon, everything has to work, right? There's several thousand moving parts. There's several thousand pieces to the project of getting to the moon and coming back, and all of them have to work. You can't have 10% of them working, 90% or 80%. They've all got to work. And then there's the backup systems for something if something goes wrong to back it up. That kind of mastery of detail is so vitally important. But here's what else to remember as far as Herbalife is concerned. The drama is in the details. Someone says, I lost 30 pounds. Well, 30 pounds is 30 pounds, but that's not the drama. The drama is, where were you before you found Herbalife? How did you feel? What kind of circumstances? Now someone begins to give us some of the details. And then after they've lost the weight, now how they feel. Now their self-confidence has been restored. Now they feel better about themselves. The drama is in the details. But this is also important in the details of your day, the details of your business, the details of good communication. Master the details. Good advice, Napoleon Hill. Now here's the next three. Willingness to assume full responsibility. All of us have been taught that, especially these Herbalife years, to take full 100% responsibility. Mark Hughes says, what happened to me might not have been my responsibility, but what I do about it is my full responsibility. I've had some things, some people did me wrong. In his first couple of business experiences, he was done wrong. Some people ran off with the money. He was left holding the bag. But he said, that's what happened. And I was not responsible for what happened, but I am responsible for saying to myself, now, what am I going to do about what's happened? If a hailstorm destroys the farmer's crop, he wasn't responsible for that. But his responsibility now begins when the hailstorm is over, when he asks the question of himself, what should I do now? Now that this catastrophe is over, now that the damage is done, now what should I do about it? And a philosophy I've taught all these years, it's not what happens to you that determines your future. It's what you do about what happens that determines your future. And this is a major part of it, accepting full responsibility. If you've got an organization, you're conducting meetings, and you're the leader, the responsibility ends with you. Someone else may mess up, make some mistakes, still your responsibility. Some things over which you have no control, understandable. But what you do about it now, how you fix it, the diplomacy you use, the strategy you use, that's the kind of responsibility now that depends on you. Also, you've got to be responsible for your future. Nobody's going to fix it. No one else is going to design it. No one else is going to come along and say, hey, I will make sure it all works well for you. You've got to take all the input, you've got to take all the testimonials, all the teaching, all the training, all the influence, then you've got to have the responsibility of designing your life. You can design a life of prosperity, or you can design a life just to coast and get by. The responsibility belongs to you. Now here's the last two. Next is cooperation. One of the great things we learn in Herbalife is how to cooperate so that we take advantage of each other's ideas, we take advantage of each other's input, we take advantage of each other's enthusiasm, we take advantage of each other's testimonial, and we take advantage of each other's willingness to grow. That kind of cooperation has built Herbalife. In those early days, Mark got the group together. Jerry Shatanovich, Doug Stuntz, the rest, and made some plans to cooperate. Said, no telling what kind of powerful meetings we can have if we work together. No telling how many people we can affect, even right away, if we work together. You do this part, you do this part, I'll do this part, we'll make it work together, and we'll get the ball rolling. That kind of cooperation starts fortune making. There's an ancient phrase that says, if two or three agree, nothing is impossible. If they agree on the same project, if they agree on the same vision, if they agree on how to get there, I'm telling you, nothing is impossible. Nothing can stand in their way. Just two or three. What's exciting about Herbalife is now we have more than two or three. The president's team now is well populated. Even the chairman's club is growing. The millionaire team is awesome in its numbers as well as in its power. And the cooperation between all of us on the tabulator teams, as distributors, home office, support staff, 15th floor, wherever we come from. If we cooperate, there's nothing we can't do. There isn't anyone we can't touch. There is no country we can't finally get to with this incredible story. Cooperation. That's why I'm here, wanting to do my part, HBN, send out some ideas, give you some notes to take, something to think about and ponder, something to talk about with the people that you associate with and are building your business. That kind of cooperation is going to make this a powerful year. It'll get us to the 2 billion, 3 billion, 5 billion. But it'll get us to much more than just those numbers. It'll get us to a place of honor, respect, prestige, influence, feeling good about ourselves for the hard work that we're doing, cooperating with each other. I want to cooperate with you, helping build your business. All of us cooperate with the support system of Herbalife. We're on our way. We will have the billions. We'll have the stories. We'll have the experiences. Now here's the last one. Napoleon Hill said, a major attribute of leadership is vision. Vision is in many parts. One, a vision for your own course to follow. A vision for you, for yourself. A vision for your financial future. A vision for your health. A vision for your wealth. A vision for you to latch onto and make something out of. A vision for your family. Because vision must now lift others as well as ourselves. Guess what our family is counting on? That we'll be able to see things that at first they cannot see. That we'll be able to look further into the future than perhaps they will be able to look. The same is true with your organization, the people that are around you. They're counting on your vision. Perhaps you've been there a little longer than they have. Maybe you've been there a lot longer than they have. And they will look to you to help them see things that they can't see in the beginning. And if you will do that, develop that attribute of leadership, I'm telling you, you'll have such a dramatic effect on your organization, it will be unbelievable. A vision for yourself, a vision for your family, a vision for your organization, a vision for the people that you're close to. The old prophet said, without vision, we die. We perish. Unless we can see into the future, life loses its meaning. Unless we can look further than just where we are at the moment, then we have no reason for faith, no reason for activity. But if we'll develop this skill, beyond any other skill, I'm telling you, it will help us touch people because they'll want to be around us because we have this look into the future. Not only the short-range vision of what we're going to do this week, this month, this year, but the long-range vision like Mark has, taking us to the 5 billion. You can have a vision that will take your organization into the future and bless everybody with success, the success that they've all been looking for. I call this leadership studies. You know, Herbalife's been on this quest right from the very beginning to find leadership. People who can sell the product in a leadership role, not just sell it, but get people to use it, follow up. That's called the beginning of the leadership study. Then when you become a sponsor, you study how to be a good sponsor, giving that early information because you're that first connection that someone has with Herbalife and the story. You know, they might have heard the story, the Mark Hughes story, but now you're the person who makes it real, either by telephone or in person. So learning to lead someone from what they don't know to what they should know, to give them advice on how to get started, how to get going, how to make it successful. You know, that's quite a responsibility. But that's what leadership is all about. Yes, it's a new opportunity, but it's also a new responsibility. And so I like to go through these leadership studies because we should all continue to be students. Many of you have already become leaders, but here's the key, and that is to be a student leader. Always studying ways to make your leadership more effective, your communication more dynamic, your understanding more expansive, your compassion a little deeper, your willingness to listen, you know, a little better, comprehending and turning it into something valuable that you can give back, that mechanism now starts to work better and better, working better as each year passes. A student leader. And leaders, of course, are not the only ones that need to be students. I wrote down here, the president needs to be a student. Mark Hughes has to continue to be a student. He was a founder of the company, but he's the student founder. He's the president now, but he's the student president. Continually looking for ways, whether it's style or content or product or presentation or understanding or a longer reach now than he had a few years ago. Mark is always looking for ways to be a more powerful leader of the company. Chairman of the board, what an incredible responsibility. You know, in the early years when he first got the title, that's one thing. But now, in a more mature way, he looks at this position of chairman of the board as a very incredible, responsible position. So he has to study ways now. Herbalife being traded, on the open stock exchange. All of those responsibilities he didn't have when the company first got started, but he kept being a student at every position. And of course, at his level, you can imagine what the demands are to keep studying the craft, to make sure you keep up with the latest, not only in the technology of developing products, but in refining the marketing, in doing business in such a variety of countries. So the responsibility of leadership, goes all the way from the top to the bottom. And wherever you find yourself today, myself in my position here, my position as a father, you've got to be a student father. If you're a mother, congratulations. I advise you to continue being a student mother. How could you be more effective as a mother this year versus last year? What new stories could you gather that would be valuable when you have a chance to talk to your children about some specific challenges or problems? That's called continually to being a student parent. So a student distributor, a student president's team member, a student global expansion team member. Now that you've gotten that new position on the tabulator team, study ways now to make that position so effective and so powerful, and so to have such a unique reach that it won't take you long to get to millionaire team. And then you study that position, not just from the opportunity to earn the extra money. We say millionaire team, 2%, now 4%. And then to be worth the 4% in terms of your ability to communicate, your ability to lead, your ability to help people to grow. And then, of course, president's team, 6% extra. Being worth the 6% is more valuable than the 6%. But you must say, now that I've finally reached this position, president's team, I must now really intensify my studies, how to make this position valuable for myself, for the continuity of my family and my financial future, but also so that I build the right reputation for my organization. And now as president's team, I'm sure, reaching out to help other lines of organization, not just your own, helping the company to grow as well as your organization to grow. Then the big responsibility of Chairman's Club. Studying, not just arriving at that position, not just getting the new pin, but saying, how can I be worth the honor and the extra pay, and how can I make my part of the Chairman's Club unique for my contribution? That continually requires study on your part. Learn the extra stories, do the extra reading, do the extra note-taking to make sure that you're not missing anything, especially in that prestigious position as well as responsible position. So that's what I'm talking about here now in being a leader. But now, here are some leadership studies, and I want to give you the list first, and then we'll come back and we'll go through this list and take them one at a time. Here's the first one, and that's be a student of possibility. Number one. Next, be a student of opportunity. Possibility is one study, opportunity is another study. Then third, be a student of ability. There's the company ability, there's the organizational ability, but I'm going to talk more personally here about your personal ability. Learning to recognize other people who have ability that no one else has encouraged, and now you have the opportunity to do so. Also recognizing your own personal ability. So we'll make that a part of our list. Here's the next one that's vitally important, and that's the study of inevitability. Some things at certain times become inevitable, and we'll go through that. And the last one is rationality. How to be a speed thinker. How to grasp problems and take them apart and put them back together in rapid fashion. how to ponder something and then make sure, that it fits you, it fits your philosophy, it fits what you want to accomplish. Rationality, very important subject to study. So that's the list: possibility, opportunity, ability, inevitability, and rationality. Now, let's start with possibility. I heard a sermon just a few weeks ago. Young Schuler, Dr. Schuler of the Crystal Cathedral, it was his son who was filling in for him and preaching a sermon. And of course, I have lectured there for a long time, starting about 27, 28 years ago, and I'm always interested, especially when young Schuler is going to be on. He's remarkable. And here was the notes from his sermon. Now, I'm going to abbreviate it, but I think you're going to get the points that I'm going to cover here. I thought it was one of the classic sermons I've ever heard. And it had 3 major points. Not 30, just 3. But they were so classic, and here they were for your notes. Number 1, if you think it's impossible, it isn't. That was his first point. Point number 2, if you think you know everything, you don't. Number 2. Here was number 3. If you think you're alone, you're not. I thought those are some classic points. If you think it's impossible, it isn't. If you think you know everything, you don't. If you think you're alone, you're not. Now, under the title, If You Think It's Impossible, It Isn't, he told a unique story. It's the story of Rich DeVos, founder of Amway. Rich DeVos needed a heart transplant. Critical. Young Schuler said, my father went to offer a prayer for Rich DeVos. And when he got there, he said, Rich, a little difficult to pray this prayer because for you to get a new heart, somebody has to die. And he said, well, I guess we'll just pray the good Lord's will be done. Now, fast forward. Rich DeVos gets his heart transplant. That's one part of the story. But here's the rest of the story that's remarkable. Later, and not too long ago, Rich DeVos has the opportunity to have dinner with the lady who gave him her heart. You say, that's impossible. When I heard this, that's exactly what I said. The congregation that listened to the sermon, this is exactly what they all said. Impossible. You couldn't possibly have dinner with the person who gave you their heart. Here's what happened. There was a lady who needed, I believe it was a liver transplant. And many times it's best if the liver and the heart go together in a transplant. So someone who dies has donated their organs. This lady gets the liver and the heart as a single transplant, and now her heart is left over. And her heart goes to Rich DeVos. And that's how it was possible for Rich DeVos to have dinner with the lady who gave him her heart. Fantastic story. 20 years ago, couldn't have happened. Now, it's impossible. We say it's impossible, but it isn't. No telling what technology will do in the years to come. No telling what your faith can produce. No telling what can be done. That was a great point. If you think it's impossible, it isn't. Then the next point was classic. If you think you know everything, you don't. How often we've learned this, right? From the time we were just young until probably the present time, to where there were times along the way when we thought we knew it all. We thought we knew everything. We thought we had it down. We thought we had it made. We thought we had this one locked. And sure enough, we were surprised later that we didn't know everything. We thought we had the answer to this problem. We thought we had all the answer. But as it turned out, sure enough, we didn't have all the answers. Always surprised, thinking we know everything, thinking we've got it, then sure enough, something comes along to prove us wrong. But that's how we grow. And you know, our own ego at times wants to believe that we do have the answers, that we've arrived, and then a touch of humility has to come to prove to us that we really don't know everything. We think we know everything about our business, but I'm telling you, we have a lot to learn. No telling what we can do if we keep this learning process. So that was a valid point. If you think you know everything, you don't. But this next one was good. If you think you're alone, you're not. Interesting. The Pledge of Allegiance in America says one nation under God. As a country, we really believe that in America, you know, we are not alone. And sometimes all alone, meaning by yourself, doesn't mean that you are alone. Somebody's prayer reaches you. Someone's spirit reaches you. Someone's presence, even though they're not there, you know, you sense it, you feel it. The telephone rings and you pick it up, and something told you that this was going to be a call from someone that you've wanted to hear from. That unseen magic that I talked about in my San Francisco presentation. It's always there. So we do believe when you think you're alone, you're not. Sometimes when I finish a rally or the extravaganza or some other presentation, here's what I say to everyone in my audience. I promise you when I leave here tomorrow, I will not leave you behind. I will take you with me in my thoughts and in my heart. And everyone senses that sure enough, I won't leave him behind. When I get together with my grandkids and my children, I will relate to them this experience. So the presence of this experience, the dynamics of this experience, the place we're meeting in, all of this, you know, I will take all of this with me, and especially the spirit, the collective spirit of everybody that was here that made it so unusual. I take that with me. I not only take it with me, jumping on the airplane to fly back to America, I take it with me wherever I go, and every time I share the story, someone is impressed, someone is affected, because I didn't leave my audience behind. Then often I ask, how many of you have my name in your notebook, in your journal? Everybody raises their hands. Then I say, after we leave here and the lights are out and the place is dark, I go with you. My name is in your journal. But not just my name and not just my notes, hopefully, but my spirit, my good wishes, my prayer for you. I want my presence to follow you so that when you relate to someone else the notes you've taken from one of my presentations, not only will the notes be there, but the spirit will be there. So I thought this was an excellent point that young Schuler had. If you think you're alone, you're not. So first is the study of possibility. How many times did how many people say over the last 20 years about Mark's project of taking this incredible nutritional story around the world? How many of them said impossible? I'm telling you, the list would be staggeringly long, especially in the beginning. The list was this long that said impossible. In fact, some that were invited to join declined because they thought it was impossible. How could a young kid, 23 years old, only went to the 9th grade in school, never graduated high school, no college, no university, no formal training to run a company? How could he have the audacity to say, I've got a product, we're going to take it around the world? They said impossible. They didn't join. They missed out on the possibility. So be a student of possibility. You never know in whose hands is the idea. You never know in whose head and whose heart is the idea. If it's in the right person's heart, the most incredible things can happen. We're a witness of that over the last 20 years. Now here was the next one. Possibility is one study. Let me finish now the rest of these. Next is to be a student of opportunity. Opportunity means springtime, to be able to recognize this is a good time. Those early distributors that joined, I'm telling you, this was part of their perception. This sounds like a great story. Mark sounds incredibly sincere. This might just be the time. You know, that was back when, you know, herbs was, you know, not the most well-known, thought-out, you know, superstar study of the day. But I'm sure those early distributors thought maybe this is the time when not just other nutrition that we've heard about, but herbal nutrition and all of that, this may be the time, this may be the moment. And they recognized it as spring. They also recognized it as spring for them because Mark brought them the financial opportunity. When he said, I'll teach you everything I know, and I'll teach you everything I learn as we go. They picked up on that, those early distributors, and said, hey, this could be the spring we've been looking for, with all of the components to make spring unique as we see it through the summer and harvest in the fall. They seized the moment, and that's what you must do with opportunity, is to seize the moment. Whether the moment might be someone you see standing there and you say, I should introduce myself and tell my story, or at least say hello and see if the window will open a new opportunity. I had that chance just not long ago. The gardener who takes care of some of my my landscaping. You know, I hadn't talked to him before, and I thought this is a good opportunity. And I told him about Herbalife, and I told him about Mark Hughes, and I told him about my position, and I told him, you know, what was happening, some of the things currently that was happening. Just incredible. You know, his eyes lit up, you know, and you know, soon he's becoming an Herbalife distributor. But seizing the moment, not letting opportunity slip away. Be a student of when it's the right time. Be a student of when this is the moment. This could be the year. The first 3 months of the next year to set up the year 2000. You say, I'm going to recognize this as a new opportunity for me to really pour it on these first 3 months. I'm calling it springtime. Putting together an artificial spring. In an industrialized society, it's hard to recognize when is spring, when is summer, when is harvest. So sometimes you have to sort of manufacture a spring. When we open up a new country, of course, now it's springtime. But if you've been going along and you've been a distributor like here in America for, you know, quite some time, just create a spring and say for the next 90 days, springtime. We're going to call it the spring campaign, a heavy recruiting effort, a heavy customer base effort called springtime. Learning to recognize opportunity, be a student of opportunity. Now, here's the others. Next is ability. Human ability, as we, you know, ponder and think back over as much history as, you know, we've mastered of what human beings have done in the last 6,000 years, and especially what human beings have done that we know more particular about the last couple of 100 years. Since the birth of America, especially us who are Americans, but the last, let's say, 1,000 years of the Renaissance, walking hopefully out of the Dark Ages, when there was a whole burst of freedom, of thought, craft, artist, genius, music. It seems like all of these unique architecture, all of these things sort of began to awaken almost simultaneously. And within a few short years, everything seemed to be bursting forth like a variety garden called the Renaissance. But that helps us to understand, pardon me, that human ability is just incredible. Given the right moment, given the right opportunity, given the right climate, given the right season, human beings can think, create, and do the most extraordinary things. That's general ability. In Herbalife, we've watched people who no one gave them a chance, but no other opportunity had ever tapped their unique ability. It was there, but it was undiscovered. It was there, but it was unapplied. It was there, but it was lost in confusion. It was there, but nobody ever recognized it. It was there, but nobody offered them a helping hand saying, come, we'll teach. Nobody offered the opportunity to say, come, we'll recognize. We will help you start, we will help you build. Not having that opportunity before and now having it, We've watched the most extraordinary things happen with people who seemingly others said didn't have the ability, but sure enough they did. Now it's awakened. There's a unique story talking about incredible ability of a university student who was being given an incredible award. He was in mathematics, and this was an incredible award of mathematics. And the ceremony was extra special. And here's why. This young student in his mathematics class one day was just sort of nodding off. And when he sort of woke up, the class was leaving. So he gathered up his books and prepared to leave. And then he looked up at the blackboard and saw two mathematical problems. When he looked at these two mathematical problems on the board, he thought, well, that's the assignment, for the next class. I better jot those down. And so he jotted down those two problems, mathematical problems, and then hurried out with the rest of the class. When he got home that evening, he started working on these problems. And he said, these are the toughest mathematical problems I have ever seen. There seems to be no answer. There seems to be no answer. And he worked with both of them. And he just literally almost tore his hair out saying, at first they seemed fairly simple, but I can see right now there is no answer. There is no answer. But finally, one of them that he had really struggled with, he finally found the answer, or thought he had the answer. And he, packed up his notes, and when the next class was opened up, he offered his paper to the teacher. And little did he know, when he offered his paper to the teacher looked at what he had done, and he said, I jotted those two mathematical problems down. He said, I've wrestled with them. There didn't seem to be any answer. Finally, I got a breakthrough on one of them, and here's the best I can do. Well, the teacher was astounded. And the reason is because the teacher had put up on the blackboard the two mathematical problems that the world had said was unsolvable. These were the two mathematical problems that could not be solved, and everybody agreed. And lo and behold, the teacher checked, and for sure, he had solved one of the world's unsolvable problems. Now, and he was getting this incredible award for having solved this problem. Now, here's the unique part of the story. When he wrote those two problems down and took them home to go to work on them, he didn't know that they were two of the world's mathematical unsolvable problems. Great story. The human genius is limitless. The possibility for thought is so incredible. The unique thing about thought and spirit, it has no restriction. It has no, it's not like, a physical body moving through space and time. You can only go so fast. An airplane now can only go so fast. Even the speed of light can only go so fast. But here's what's incredible. Thought and spirit, travels faster than the speed of light and has components that, nothing else can match. The law says that, two bodies cannot occupy the same space at the same time. It's impossible. It's either one or the other. But what's amazing is when you share, you receive. Instantaneously giving out and getting back, it's so extraordinary. These are the possibilities of the human brain, the ability to think and to ponder and to wonder and to figure things out. Now here's what I want you to discover in this study, and that is your own ability. Part of it you discover as you go. That's what happened to Mark. When he first got into sales, in the clothing store. He found out he could, represent a product and he could do pretty good. And that was a discovery for him. He figured it, beat being a mechanic, working on a car, working in a nice place, meeting people, which he loved to do anyway, and learning to sell, a man a suit of clothes, started to awaken in Mark some of that ability that he had. And if he hadn't gotten that job, who knows? He might have gotten off into something else, and that wouldn't have really started to tap his unique abilities. Then, of course, when he put the Herbalife program together, those abilities that were there all the time started developing, and he soon discovered, hey, I can do this and I can do that. Not only can I do all of this, I can do all of this. And when it reaches this level, now I've got the confidence that since I've mastered this, I can master the rest, I can master the rest. And that's not only the Mark Hughes story, that's everybody's story. Skill by skill, language by language, ability by ability, yours can grow just as well as Mark's or anyone else. You've got it. The key is to use it. And with your Herbalife experience, that's the best place to test your ability. Yes, you can learn to do this, but how about this, and how about the next step, and how about the next step? Don't stop. Now that you've gotten started, don't stop on your journey to study and tap and utilize your own personal ability. Now, to finish up, here's a couple of more. Next is, as leaders, we must be students of inevitability. What is inevitable? Here's a little scene. 300 feet from Niagara Falls in a little boat with no motor and no oars. We call this scene inevitable. It's over. If you find yourself in such an unfortunate position, it's already lost. 300 feet from Niagara Falls, little boat, no motor, no oars. It's over. It's already done. Even though you haven't crashed over the falls, even though that experience hasn't yet occurred, you're now in this unfortunate position, and it's called inevitable. I raise this issue because what you don't want to be caught in is in those inevitable positions, where either through carelessness or whatever, rather than find yourself 300 feet from Niagara Falls, if someone would have painted the roar of the falls sufficiently for you way upstream, or maybe they had seen an experience of someone who reached that inevitable point, and then they were lost. If enough of those scenes were painted, then you probably wouldn't have been so careless to have found yourself in that position. And that's really what life is all about, learning from the experiences of others that have either witnessed or have been in these, inevitable positions where because of mistakes and because of failure and because of carelessness, they have found themselves in this inevitable position, and sure enough, it was too late. For John Belushi, there reached a time when it was inevitable. He had crossed the line when his careless mistakes and his drug use and all the rest caused him to reach a certain point where, you cannot come back. You cross the line. We must teach our children that there are certain points in life that are inevitable. The disaster is inevitable. The heartbreak is inevitable. I learned it in economics. I found out early, you could make $5,000 a month and go broke. And way back then, $5,000 a month was a lot of money. And I used to say, how could you go broke if you made $5,000 a month? And the answer was simple: spend $6,000. And if you're making $5,000, it's easy to spend that other $1,000 and just not realize it. It just gets away. So it is easy to go broke making $5,000 a month, just spend $6,000. And it's inevitable. If you don't change your ways, if you don't recognize it soon enough, if somebody doesn't come along and sort of ring the alarm bells quick enough, sure enough, the inevitable will come, to spend more than you make. One of my friends says, if your outgo exceeds your income, your upkeep becomes your downfall. And there finally comes a point when it's inevitable. So don't find yourself there, but be a student. If I keep up my present direction, where will it take me? If I keep up my present disciplines, or where will that take me? And my lack of disciplines accumulated over some period of time, where will that lead me? Dr. Jamie, I'm sure, would say, if you refuse to make corrections in certain health practices, it's inevitable. If you don't get enough of this nutrient, it's inevitable over a certain period of time. And this combined with this, now it is truly inevitable, someday too late. That's why we're always ascertaining what is the risk factor. For a woman especially, that extra 10 pounds is a little more risky than for a man. 20 pounds, that risk factor goes like this: 30, 40 pounds, overweight for a woman especially, the risk factor's now off the scale. And unless there's some adjustment, like, you know, being rescued by Herbalife, somebody to tell the story, you say, Mary, it's inevitable. So the key is to be a student of inevitability so that you don't find yourself in that impossible position where you've crossed the line and now it's too late. Next, and the last one, is to be a student of rationality. Learning to put things through your own mind. And we are usually only going to act on something that's important if it makes sense to us. Now, sometimes what makes sense to us leaves us still a little bit short of what we should know, you know, for the full expanse of knowledge to do a lot more things. But we can only really move as quickly as things make sense to us. Sometimes we step out by faith, but it makes sense to us to use our little faith. It makes sense to us to take a chance. It makes sense to us to make the investment first and then hope for the harvest. But if it doesn't make sense, if it isn't rational, then we're probably not going to act. We have to learn to study, you know, our own rationality, what makes sense to us, and then here's what is the opportunity we have, especially as Herbalife distributors, is to try our best to make it make sense to somebody else. If you make the presentation in such a way that it's obvious, it's logical, I can see it, it makes sense to me, that's the way it seems to be, so we will act on that. If you'll get good at that, I'm telling you, you can affect a lot of people's lives. Now, here's the best rationality. We call it common sense. Humans have been given this extraordinary ability to use their brain power to come up with what we call common sense. Right? Yes, I've heard all of this, but common sense tells me that looks like that's an exaggerated story, not a real story. Common sense tells me. So part of it is to trust your common sense, but also to be willing to expand your common sense. What seemed to be common sense, you know, 4 or 5 years ago was a little short. Now I understand common sense is to think of it this way and this way. So this subject of rationality is vitally important. Now when you get home, I want you also to remember to be mindful of the seasons. I've got a little topic now called the 4 major lessons in life to learn. I've done this some time in the past, but it's been a while. And for all of you that are brand new, I'd like to have you pick up on what I'm about to share with you right now. I think it's going to be valuable. It's going to be important. So jot this phrase down. Life and business is like the changing seasons. This is some of the most valuable information I got when I was a young man, just starting out. Life and business is like the seasons. And then here's the next phrase. You cannot change the seasons. That's impossible. You can't rearrange the seasons. You cannot say, well, I'll take 5 harvest times, no winters, a few springs, and a summer or 2. You can't rearrange them. The seasons are going to come however they're going to come, and you cannot change that. So you cannot change the seasons. But make this note. You can change yourself. That was the message I got when I was 25 years old with someone who took the time to teach me. You can change yourself. And by the way, only human beings have this extraordinary ability to make dramatic changes in their life. All of the life forms except human beings are driven by instinct and the genetic code. In America, the goose can only fly south in the winter. And why does the goose have to fly south in the winter in America? Because he's a goose. He can't fly any other direction. But that's not true with human beings. Human beings can go north. They can go south. They can go east. They can go west. Human beings can live one way for 5 years and then tear up that script and live a totally different way the next 5 years. Humans can do that. I'm asking you to utilize your power as a human being and change your life to whatever degree you want it changed. If you want your income to change, I'm telling you it's within your power. With Herbalife's marketing and these explosive, incredible products, you can do that. Any year you choose, you can make incredible changes in your life. You're not a tree, you don't have to stay. You're not a goose, you don't have to fly south. I'm telling you, anytime you want to, you can say, I'm going to change my attitude, I'm going to change my income, I'm going to change my abilities, I'm going to do more than I've ever done before. Take on that as your God-given right as a human being to change your life to whatever degree you want it to change. As I've watched Mark these last 17 years, I'm telling you, Mark was one of those that took up the challenge, being a human being, to drastically change his life. These years, since he was about 20, from the last 20 years before, he put together the Herbalife products. What a change, what a transformation. And if Mark can do it, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. If the President's team members have done it, there isn't anybody in here that can't do it. Dramatically change the course and the quality of your life. So learn the value of the seasons now. You can't change them, but you can change yourself. Now here's the 4 major lessons in life to learn. Number 1, learn how to handle the winters. It's a fact of life. The winters follow the fall, the harvest. And pray tell how often. 6,000 years that we know of, recorded history. Winter comes after fall. Night comes after day. Difficulty follows opportunity. Recession always comes after expansion. It's been the rhythm of life for the last 6,000 years of recorded history. Now there's all kinds of winters. There's the winter of the season, but there's all kinds of other winters. There's political winters. What a winter that was when the Nazis marched into Prague. What a winter it was when the communists put up the Iron Curtain. What a winter it was when Stalin finally took power in Russia. What a winter it was when Benito Mussolini took power in Italy. What a winter it was in Japan. What a winter it was in many parts of the world back during World War II, one of the longest winters, political winters in recorded history. So the winters are going to come. The winter of sickness, the winter of disappointment, the winter of devastation, social winters, economic winters, personal winters when your heart is smashed in 1,000 pieces and the nights are unusually long. It's simply called wintertime. But the winters are inevitable. So it has been for the last 6,500 years recorded history. You say, well, Mr. Rohn, what can I do about the winters of life? In World War II, we marched against the winter, and finally the spring came. We marched against the tyranny of communism, and finally the walls came tumbling down. We marched against the tyranny of the Nazis, and finally liberated the world for democracy and freedom. And that's what I'm telling you. It's possible for you to conquer your winters. And some are small little winters. When you get your first refund, a little small winter. When you show up, someone said, right, they put together the meeting, got everything ready, ready to show the story, ready to do the meeting, and nobody showed up. It's called a little piece of wintertime. But anyway, that's going to come. The winter of a divorce, the winter of a death in the family, the winter of a tragedy, some things we can't understand. But here's what we do know. It's possible for us to get through the winter. Here's what's exciting about the passing of time. It takes you through whatever you're experiencing at the moment. That's what time will do, take you through the winter. Now, how do you handle the winters? Make this little note. You can get better, and you can get stronger, and you can get wiser. There's no winter that you can't overcome. There's no winter that you can't figure out how to survive. There's no winter powerful enough that you cannot, with the ingenuity of being a human being, especially with the Herbalife opportunity, of figuring out a way to get through it. Hang on. Make this note. Winters don't last forever. Yes, the tyranny of the Nazis lasted for about 5 years, but it was soon over. Yes, the tyranny of communism lasted for 75 years, but finally that long winter was past. So become wiser, become stronger, become better to handle the winters that are going to come in your life. And with the strength of the Herbalife family, with the strength of the training, with the strength of these incredible products, with self-esteem bursting out all over, with the skills you're going to develop, you're going to be able to handle whatever comes your way. I promise you that. Now here's the next season. It's called the season of spring. And make this note, if you haven't made it in your head already, make it in your notes. Spring always comes. Sometimes the winter seems long. The night seems like it'll never pass, but sure enough, eventually, the night has to give way to the day. Winter has to give way to the spring. The difficult time has to give way to opportunity. The recession has to give way, finally, to the progression, to the expansion. And I don't know what kind of winters you've been through, but I want you to know when the Herbalife story reached your ears, when the Herbalife marketing reached your consciousness, and when this opportunity was passed along to you, I know that for a lot of you, it was called springtime has arrived. The long night is past, and opportunity is here. Spring always comes. Just hang in there when the night is long. Hang in there when it's dark. Hang in there when you can't figure it out. And your spring will surely come. Now here's what you must learn to do. Jot this note down. Take advantage of the spring. Just because spring comes is no sign you're going to look good in the harvest. You must do something with it. You must seize that moment. It is true that the dark time doesn't last forever, but here's what you've got to also understand. Spring doesn't last forever. In space language, we call it a window of opportunity. When they get ready to blast off, the rocket's headed for the moon, whatever, there's a certain period of time. That's the time you've got to go. If you don't go then, you've got to wait for another whole cycle to turn. Springtime is here, called Herbalife for you. I'm asking you to take advantage of it. Tell the story. Pass out the literature. Make the calls. Conduct the meetings. See the people. Grab and seize this opportunity like you've never seized anything in your life before to make something remarkable of it. This Herbalife opportunity is called springtime. Take advantage. Don't be lazy, especially in the spring. Don't be distracted, especially in the spring. What if you asked the farmer to go bowling in the spring? He would think you were insane. The farmer would say you can go bowling in the winter. You can go bowling after the crop is in. But you certainly can't go bowling in the spring. And I want you to know after this extravaganza, an extraordinary new spring is upon us. If there was ever a time when you get back home, this is the time to massively increase your numbers. Get up a little earlier, stay up a little later, pour it on, take advantage of this spring that's here. Now here's my next point. You've got to take advantage of every spring that comes because there's only a handful. Life isn't forever. It finally comes to an end. One of the Beatles wrote, "All things must pass." The sunrise doesn't last all day. Spring doesn't last all summer. The sunset doesn't last all night. We all have periods of time, pieces of time. And when those pieces of time comes, what you've got to do is take advantage of each time that comes. At the longest, life is brief. At the longest, life is just a small period of time. So don't waste your springs. Don't waste the opportunity to talk to someone. Don't waste the opportunity to have a meeting. Don't waste the opportunity to come to next extravaganza. Don't waste the chance. Each spring that comes, take advantage of them, because there's just a few. Don't let them all pass. Take advantage. Now here's number 3. In the course of the seasons, 1 is the winter, 2 is the spring, 3 is the summer. The summer is called challenging time. In the summer, we've got 2 things going for us. 1 is opportunity, but the other is to watch out for your enemies. Nourish your values in the spring, in the summer. Like a mother, nourish the values. Distributors you've got, make sure that they get plenty of nourishment from you, plenty of training from you, plenty of understanding from you. Don't be short, don't be careless. Give them your best, like a mother would give the best to her child. Give them the best you've got. Just because they're not part of your immediate family, they're a part of your Herbalife family. They deserve the best nourishment you've got. Don't shortchange them on food that'll help them to grow. Don't shortchange them on information that will help them to learn. Don't shortchange them on ideas that'll help them to transform their lives. Be like a mother in the summer and give the best you've got to everybody you can reach and everybody you can touch. It's called opportunity in the making. Be careful of those around you. They're the ones that can make you wealthy. They're the ones that can make it possible for you to go where you want to go, earn what you want to earn, do what you want to do. Here's a note to make. Volume doesn't make you rich. Points don't make you wealthy. Even these products don't make you wealthy. Here's what makes you wealthy. Other people. It takes people to make you wealthy. Even when your check comes from Herbalife. You say, well, Herbalife sends my check. Well, here's what you've got to understand. It's not the 13th floor that sends you your check. It's not the computer that sends you your check. Some live human being had to make it possible for that money to finally get to you. So remember, it's human beings that make our lives valuable. It's not systems. It's not numbers in the marketing. It's not computers. It's not the printout. It's not points, and it's not royalties. What makes us all rich beyond our wildest imagination is people. So be mindful of investing in the summer in every person you can possibly invest in. They will make you wealthy. Now here's what else you must do in the summer. Like a father, you must look out for your enemies. And believe me, we're going to have some. In the political world during our lifetime, there's been many enemies of freedom, enemies of democracy, enemies of free enterprise. It wasn't that many years ago that it was illegal to make a profit in the communist countries. It wasn't that long ago until democracy was not flourishing like it is today. In America, you know, we've had 200 years of freedom and democracy and free enterprise for the last 200 years. But some have not been so fortunate. Some have not been so lucky. Let us learn to appreciate it when it does come our way. But there's going to be political enemies. There's going to be social enemies. There's going to be people that will be envious of Herbalife. And they will not be your friends. But remember, like a father who would guard carefully his family, I'm asking you to stand guard over the family called Herbalife. I'm asking you to stand at the door. I'm asking you, whatever threatens you, threaten it back. Whatever pushes against you, push it back. Whatever wants to overwhelm you, like a father, stand up, take control, and do battle with your enemies wherever you find them. Now here's one more. We must also deal with the enemies within ourselves. Yes, we've got enemies on the outside. Saddam Hussein takes over Kuwait. We have to put together 500,000 troops, go kick him out of Kuwait so that liberty will continue to flourish. But some of the enemies are not way off in some distant country. Some of the enemies are not personified in the Hitlers of the world and the Stalins of the world. Some of the enemies are a lot closer than that. They are within. And I want to give you a list of some of the things to watch out for when you get back home, called enemies within yourself. Here's the first one: indifference. Whatever you do, practice not being casual. You've got to shake off sometimes the lethargy that would say, oh, well, maybe it's not going to work for me, or I'll just go along and see what happens. I'm asking you, whatever you do, the intensity that you've gathered up here during this extravaganza, I want you to take this same intensity home with you. Don't be casual. Casualness creates casualties, whether it's in Herbalife or whether it's on the freeway. Go home with a renewed intensity. Don't let indifference take over. Here's the next one: indecision. Someone's mentioned it a couple of times on this stage. They've had to deal with it. You've got to deal with it. Indecision is called the thief of opportunity. Make decisions even if it's a wrong decision. Do the very best you can, make a decision and go with it. If it doesn't work out because it was a wrong decision, I'm telling you, that gives you experience now to make a better decision. Here's the next one: doubt. We've all got to deal with the enemy of doubt. Cynicism has a unique way of crowding in on all of us. Being cynical about the government, being cynical about banks and money, being cynical about society, being cynical about the past, cynical about the future. I'm asking you, don't let that disease grab you by the throat and ruin your chances to do well in Herbalife. Yes, it's easy to doubt that it can happen. It's easy to doubt. We've all got fears that want to crowd in. And here's one of the worst ones of all, and that is to doubt yourself. I know we look at Mark, glamorous, handsome, good-looking, mega millionaire, extremely successful. Say, my gosh, I don't think that could happen for me. But I want you to know that Mark says, and I say to you, that if it can happen to us, it can happen to anybody in this room. Don't doubt your own ability. Don't doubt your own strength. If Mark can make it through some tough times, you can make it through. If Mark went through some strenuous times, you can go through those strenuous times. When the nights were long for Mark, I'm telling you, he made it. If he made it, you can make it. If I can make it, you can make it. If these people in the president's team can carve out an extraordinary story, second to none, in the business community of the world, I'm telling you, from these tables, this success can go right on back to the millionaire team and the Get team and to everybody up there, wherever you're sitting today. All of this belongs to all of you. Don't doubt that, not for a minute. Next is worry. I mean, you know, you got to worry some. But here's the clue: don't let it conquer you. If it's 2 o'clock in the morning and your daughter's not home, yes, you've got to worry. If you're in New York City and step off the curb and one of those yellow taxis is coming, yes, you better worry. But mark this down: let worry alarm you, but don't let it conquer you. We all need to be concerned. We all need to be concerned. If there's enemies around, we need to be concerned. If it isn't going well, yes, we need to be concerned. But I'm asking you to let it concern, let it touch you, let it alarm you, but don't let it conquer you. Take all of the worries you've got and try to drive them into the smallest corner you can possibly find. If you don't, worry will be like a mad dog loose in the house. It'll have you in the corner. So whatever your enemies are here, drive them into a small corner. Here's the next one. Over caution. Hey, in the spring, if you're too cautious, you never will plant the seed. If you're too cautious, you won't take the chance. If you're too cautious, you won't step out front. If you're so cautious, you probably never would have done your first meeting. Make this note. You got to take a chance. Drive your tendency to be too cautious. Drive it into a small corner. Yes, you can't be gullible. No, you can't go for everything. Yes, you've got to be careful. Yes, but don't be so cautious that it paralyzes you. Don't be so cautious that it restricts your chance to do better. See if you can't conquer that. Here's the next one. Pessimism. Yes, there's the dark side. Yes, there's the problem side. Yes, there's the difficult side. But I'm telling you, it's not the only side. Yes, the glass is half empty, but it's also half full. Yes, there's the dark side, but there's the light side. Yes, the night comes, but so does the day. I'm telling you, don't be afraid of both sides, opportunity and difficulty, chance and danger. Learn how to handle it all. Now here's the last one. When you get back home, you've got to deal with it. I have to deal with it. We all have to deal with it. And that's complaining. Yes, there's room for a legitimate complaint. Yes, there's room for a legitimate business complaint. Yes, there's room for a legitimate complaint with the 13th floor. Yes, there's room for a legitimate complaint with the warehouse. Yes, there's room for a legitimate complaint once in a while with each other. But here's what I'm asking you. Don't let complaining master your life. If you become a chronic complainer, I'm telling you, nobody wants to be around you. Chronic complainer. I wouldn't want you for a business partner. Don't let complaining conquer your life. See if you can't drive it into a small corner. That's the season of summer. Nourish your values like a mother and fight your enemies like a father. Even if you have to fight the enemies that are within yourself. Make this note. Don't become a victim of yourself. It's possible to become a victim of tragedy. It's possible to become a victim of gossip. It's possible to become a victim of the things that happen out there. But here's the most important thing. Don't become a victim of yourself. Forget the thief in the alley that's after your purse. What about the thief in your mind that's after your promise? The thief in your mind that says you're too short. The thief in your mind that says you're too tall. The thief in your mind that says, well, yes, it'll happen to people out in California, but it can't happen way over here on this side of the world. I'm asking you to conquer that thief even though you find him in your own consciousness. I want to reassure you that you can do it. I want you to reassure you that you can make the decisions. I want to reassure you that no matter what the night, no matter what the storm, no matter what the difficulty, there isn't anybody here that can't figure it out, find some things to do, step at a time, yes. Minute at a time, yes. Day at a time, yes. Week at a time, yes. But there isn't anything you can't walk away from. There isn't any challenge you can't overcome. I want you to have that kind of belief in yourself. Now here's the last season. Now here's the last season. It's called the season of harvest. After the long summer that we've been faithful, we've been disciplined, we've nourished our values like a mother, we've fought our enemies like a father, then, as one writer said of ancient script, in due time, your harvest will come. And I want to give you that promise today one more time. I want to remind you of the seasons. I want to remind you of the testimonials you've already heard on this stage. Those that have already gotten the diamonds, they've got the cufflinks, they've got the earrings. Those that have got the rewards, and some of those extraordinary rewards are going to be passed out on this stage here this evening, and that's going to be exciting to watch. Julio's going to be here. He's going to be fun to watch. Mark's been here. Nothing much more exciting than to watch Mark take charge, watch Mark enjoy the proceeds of all that he's created in the last 15 years. It's exciting to watch the president's team and be excited, and I'm going to be happy to watch all of what unfolds here, but I'm also happy about watching myself. I can't believe where I am today. I can't believe what's happened to me. But sure enough, their rewards came, Mark's rewards came, and so did mine. And I want you to have that same opinion. Your day will come. Your harvest is sure. It'll be there for you. Herbalife will be here to reward you every step of the way. Whatever small steps of progress you have to take them. Herbalife will be here to reward you. And when you finally walk across a stage like this evening, it will be a thrill beyond imagination. And then you'll be able to say, by gosh, the hard work has paid off. The lonely nights have paid off. Working hard every day has paid off. And my harvest has finally come. Now, a couple of things I want you to think about now in the harvest time. Here it is. Accept your personal harvest with full responsibility. No need to complain because it's your crop. If Herbalife does its best, Herbalife produces the finest products and the finest marketing, the support system second to none. I've never seen the likes of a support system like Herbalife. If all of that's been provided for you, I'm telling you the rest is up to you. So whatever your harvest is, you've got to say, that's my harvest. Don't complain. Take responsibility. Now here's the next one. Don't apologize. When you walk home with the rewards that you're going to be receiving here, especially you and the president's team, chairman's club, millionaire team, get team, you that have been especially honored by having these seats of honor here in this extravaganza, I want you to go home prouder than you've ever been before. And here's what I want you to say when you get home. I deserve the honor. I got it, but I deserved it. They don't pass out diamonds for non-work. We don't pass out diamonds for those that are just related to us. We don't pass out these extraordinary rewards and give honor to those who don't do the job. Those who do the work get the pay, and those that do the work get the honors. And I'm proud of all of you here today. On more than one occasion, I've heard Mark say, I'm proud of what I do. He's around a lot of top executives now around the world, and some of them aren't that proud of how they earn their money. But every dollar that Mark earns, every fortune and piece of fortune that he makes stacked on top of the other, I'm telling you, Mark says, I look myself in the mirror and say, I'm darn proud of the success I've got because of the service I've rendered to the people. And you can likewise be proud. In the matter of personal development, learn the story of the seasons. There's 3 parts, though, to personal development. Here they are. Number 1, the physical part. Herbalife's extraordinary products, both for nourishment, maintaining your weight control, nourishing the body. Now dermagetics for the outside. First part of personal development is physical. Here's an important thing to remember. The body and the mind work together. You might have ideas, you might have ambition, things you want to accomplish, but here's what the body has to be: a good support system to make your dreams come true. That's why Herbalife plays such an incredible role in its nourishment, giving you the health, giving you the vitality, giving you the energy, giving you the vigor. One ancient phrase said this: treat your body like a temple, something you take extremely good care of. Mark got interested in that all those years ago and has never deviated from that. the best to nourish the body. Why? You got to have a good physical support system if you want to make your dreams come true. Sometimes you wake up in the morning, the mind says, let's go get them, and the body says, I can't get out of bed. You just got to say, body, that's the last time. I'll walk you around the block until you got the muscles. I'll take you to the gym until you're strong. I'll, put an extra couple of shakes down you until you get vital and fit. I'm telling you. Nourish the body. Habits you've got that are going to be destructive, I'm telling you, minimize those to the best of your ability so that you'll have a body that will take you places you want to go, make your dreams come true, that'll have the vitality and the power, the influence. Now there's another part to the physical, and that's physical appearance. Not only should you look good or feel good, you got to look good. Physical appearance, I'm telling you, is part of success. Interesting phrase. Let me quote it for you. God looks on the inside, one prophet said. People look on the outside, which gives me an indication you take care of the inside, spirituality, for God, but you take care of the outside for people. You say, well, people shouldn't judge you by your appearance. Let me give you a clue. They do. They do. Now, of course, when people get to know you, they'll judge you by more than what they see. But at first, they're gonna take a look. And here's some of the best advice I've got. Make sure the outside of your physical appearance is a true reflection of the inside. Make sure you work on that. As you appear on the outside, let that be a good indication of what's going on in your heart, what's going on in your head, what's going on in your soul. So take care of the physical. Now here's the second part, the spiritual. I'm not here to win anyone to my point of view, but I do happen to believe in human spirituality, that we're not just animals, an advanced form of the animal kingdom. We're a special creation. I happen to be a believer. I'm not here to persuade you to my personal belief, but here's what I am. Well, got some more believers. Wonderful. Fantastic. I appreciate that. Now here's my point on spirituality. If you are a believer, don't neglect, study, and practice your spirituality. Pay attention. Let it grow. Let it be a vital part of your life and your future. Don't neglect. Key phrase, one of the greatest reasons why people don't have what they want, they simply neglect. They neglect the small things. They neglect the details. They neglect daily operation. They neglect consistency. Don't let neglect grab you by the throat, keep you in the shadows while others are walking into the sunlight. And here's an important one. Number one, don't neglect nourishment. Number two, don't neglect physical appearance. And number three, don't neglect your spirituality. Now here's the next one. That's the mind. One of the reasons we came to this extravaganza was to celebrate, yes. It was to exchange ideas, yes. It was to get to know each other, yes. But here's one of the most important reasons for being at extravaganza, and that was to have a mental feast. Things to ponder. There's an ancient script that says humans cannot live on food alone. And here was the addition to that statement: humans cannot live just on food. Animals can, dogs can, alligators can, spiders can, but humans cannot live just on food. Here's what it says: humans also have to have words, words that nourish the mind, words that nourish the soul, words that nourish the spirit. And I've been so pleased as I've sat here day after day, from the planning meetings to the president's team to the chairman's class to all of the training that's gone on here the last 2 or 3 days, you have had an incredible diet of good words. I'm asking you to treasure those words. I'm asking you to let those words affect your thoughts. Let it affect your mind. Let it affect your goals. Let it affect your intensity for the future. Good words. Words, one ancient prophet said, are like a lamp for your feet so you can see where to walk, and a light for your pathway so you can see where to go. Thank God for the words that formulated Mark's dream 15 years ago. Thank God for the training of the president's team that crisscrossed the world. Thank God for every class that's being held on Saturday morning, the training classes. Words that are spread out now all around the world. Words of hope, words of encouragement, words of life. Let your mind be fed with all good words. And then here's the next one. Make sure you deliver good words. There's people in the dark until you get there with your words. People will be unhealthy until you arrive. They won't know where to go until you come and show them the way. A lot of people are going to be lost until you're out there saying, hey, I've got a light, come my way. I can show you how to get out. I can show you how to get out of a bad situation. I can show you how to get out of poor health. If you've got financial problems, I'm telling you, I got a way out. And let your words shine. Let your words be life. Let them be bread and let them be light. You're the light of the world. I want you to ponder these 4 questions. Here's the first one, and that's why. Why pay the price? Why work this hard? Why go this far? Why try to learn this much? Why try to do it all? Why try to see it all? Why try to have it all? Why do it? Why learn it? Why study? Why put yourself out? Why try to take on this much responsibility? Why develop yourself to the full? Why try to become all that you can possibly become? Why try to earn as much as you can earn, share as much as you can share, develop every skill you possibly can, see every human you possibly can, go to every class you possibly can, touch everybody you possibly can? Why do that much? Why go that far? Why share that much? Why give that much away? Why try to see everything? Why try to do everything? Why try to become everything? That's a good question, why? And you're the only one personally that can answer that question for yourself. You've got to have your own list of whys. Here's what I want you to do when you go home after you've left this extravaganza. Work on your list of whys. One of the big thrusts for success is to come up with a strong enough why. In leadership training, here's what we learn. If the why is powerful, the how is easy. But if the why isn't strong, if your goals aren't powerful, if the vision isn't clear, the old prophet said, without a vision we die, without a vision we perish, without a dream we're nothing. From the movie The Professionals, I listened to Bill Heron give his testimony yesterday. From the movie The Professionals, it said, we joined because we believed. We stayed because we were committed. We left because we were disillusioned. But we came back because we were lost. Without a dream, we are nothing. I'm asking you to sit down with your family and develop a dream strategy. I'm asking you to make a list of what you want. What kind of health do you want? What kind of skills do you want? The architect of the universe is here to bless you with whatever you want. Herbalife has got the ability to make it all come true, but you've got to decide, what do you want? What kind of income do you want? What kind of gifts do you wish to bestow? What kind of power would you like to have? What kind of influence would you like to have? I'm asking you to go home and work on the why. spend some time as you fly over the clouds and over the ocean back to where you came from. I'm asking you to have a vision by the time you've reached home of why you want Herbalife to work for you, why you want this kind of income, why you want this kind of recognition and these kinds of skills. I'm asking you to develop your own list of why. Because if you can come up with a strong enough list of why, Herbalife can furnish the how. Now, here's number two. The first question to ponder when you go home is why. Here's another good answer to why. It's the second question, why not? Why not see how much you can earn? Why not see how much you can learn? Why not see how many skills you can develop? Why not see what kind of person you can become? Why not see what kind of influence you can have? Why not see how many people you can rescue from oblivion? Why not see how many people you can reach? I shared one of my goals with a group just last night. Here it is, one of my goals, to reach the peak of my skills by the year 2000. So I've got some work to do by the year 2000, turn of the century, turn of the millennium. I want to reach the peak of my skills by the year 2000. And then come the next century, I want to utilize those skills in touching every human I can possibly touch for the rest of my life. Those are some of my goals. I want you to establish some of your goals. I want you to give thoughtful consideration to your goals. And why not? If a farm boy can wander out of Idaho and finally arrive at this extravaganza, why not you? If Mark Hughes can walk away from the tough side of town and find a few people and make a dream come true, why not you? If we've got good health for many, why not the rest? If it's happened for you, why not others? And why not you? I want you to take that personal. Why not? Why not? You've got to stay here till you go. I mean, what else are you going to do? Why not see how much you can do, how far you can go? Now, here's number three. Why not you? I wish I could say that to each of you individually, but it would take a couple of lifetimes to sit down and talk with each of you individually. But I would rather do that. I'd rather sit down and talk with you and your family with the fire burning in the living room than to be standing on this platform. That's my true desire. I'd love to talk to you and your children face to face. That's what I'd really like to do. I'd love to spend a couple of days with each of you personally and pour out my heart, my soul, what's going on in my head, what's going on with me, see if we couldn't connect and find something valuable. But time doesn't permit for us to have those intimate conversations and get to know each other that well. So I've got to do it from up here. But I want you to take it personal. And my personal question to you is, why not you? You've got the brains. You can make decisions. You can study the plan. You can change your life. You can grow immensely in the next few years. You can make your dreams come true. You can build a financial wall around your family nothing can get through. You can become healthy. You can become powerful. Why not you? And I'm here to say that I'm ready to pledge my support to make your personal dreams come true. I asked the question, why not you? But I'm not going to ask it and just walk away. I'm going to ask it and walk with you in this journey as we take Herbalife around the world. And now here's my last question, my very last question on the questions to ponder is, why not now? There never was a better time. Mark has brought Herbalife to an incredible mountaintop. He's brought Herbalife with the help of others who have brought it here. It has been brought to a special moment. Barcelona was special, and Orlando was outrageous. But I'm telling you, this extravaganza has been the most awesome thing I have ever seen. All of your cooperation, the way you have learned and listened and worked hard to get it all, I congratulate you for that. But Mark brought us here. And what a time now for us to take this dream and not let it die. Take this dream and give it life. Take this dream and breathe into it your own personal spirit until finally it becomes a flame that burns around the whole world. Let's go do it now. There's 4 parts to your future. Some of you that have heard my presentation before, let me just give a quick review here. 4 parts to really cashing in here on the future. One is the leadership we've got going here. Who can help but be incredibly inspired, right? Mark never met his father until he was 20 years old. And the tragedy we're all acquainted with when you're a teenager, to have your mother die from a drug overdose, not something you want to tell around town. 9th grade education, high school dropout. The judge had to decide who he was to live with when he was a little kid. All the stuff he went through. Finally got a hold of an idea, saying when his mother died, there's got to be a better way. Dedicated himself to finding it. And finally put it all together. His grandmother was his first customer. I love to tell the Mark Hughes story. He started with what he had. And that's Mark's story. If you got pennies, you start with pennies. If you got a grandmother, you start with a grandmother. If you don't have one, you borrow one, right, from somewhere around the neighborhood. Now, if you don't have anything, you start with nothing. If you've got handicaps, you start with the handicaps. If you're young, you start young. If you're ill, you start ill. If you're behind, you start behind. You just don't make any excuses. You get started. And day by day, you can fashion your own future. Call by call, you can fashion your future. Person by person, distributor by distributor, customer by customer, hour by hour, conversation by conversation. Just pick up a chapter from the leadership here. Just pick it up and see if you can fashion for yourself the kind of life you've always wished for. Not missing an opportunity like this. Take advantage of the days, take advantage of the hours, take advantage of the minutes, take advantage of the time, take advantage of the climate of the times. These are incredible times. But we've got the leadership. Second, we've got the products. Don't have to restate. You already know the value of these products, and especially what's coming. It's going to be incredible. Herbalife's dedication to bring the finest products available that the doctors and the scientists can possibly bring to us for our hands to take to the marketplace. Herbalife's always going to have the best. Mark's been dedicated from that from the very beginning, called Day One. He can stand head and shoulders above anybody else in the industry as far as integrity is concerned, bringing phenomenal products to the marketplace, never deviating from the path of always having the best. He made sure whatever it cost to have the best, whoever he had to consult to have the best. So we got the leadership, we got the products, now we got the marketing. This marketing plan is the most explosive thing that's happened on the public scene in marketing in, a decade, 2 or 3 decades. It's absolutely phenomenal. One of the major reasons why these incredible incomes that we heard here paraded across this stage are possible. Marketing that lets you start where you are. Marketing that gives you an opportunity to become more than you are. Gives you an opportunity to reach other people, multiply yourself and other people, grow beyond your wildest imagination. A marketing that's sound, 12 years of getting paid, 12 years of history and reputation, Herbalife's marketing. And marketing for you that has no limit. How far do you want to go? The only limitation here for you is not going to be Herbalife products. We're going to take care of that. It's not going to be Herbalife's marketing. We're going to take care of that. It's not going to be the leadership. We're going to take care of that. This decade of the 90s, we've dedicated ourselves to step up a few levels in skills and abilities, power and strength, dedication to the best of our ability, and bring you the best. Since you're out there representing Herbalife, taking these incredible products to the marketplace, you deserve the best leadership. You deserve the best marketing. We're going to make sure that's possible. But now you've got to examine your own future, your own dreams, your own possibilities. How far do you want to go? Everything's available for you. Nothing's left out. The market is there. The world is there. The need is certainly there. People are hurting because you're not there yet. People's incomes are stalled because you haven't touched their lives yet. But when we do get to them, it's going to be the best news they've ever heard. But now you've got to decide what kind of goals you want to set, where you want to take this. We're going to provide everything we possibly can. Mark's going to be up early and he's going to stay up late. I've never seen Mark Hughes work any harder than he's worked the last 90 days. Just absolutely unbelievable. And these guys have already made their mega rich fortune. They could have walked off a long time ago, but they're here to make sure that the next 8 years of the 90s can be the most extraordinary years, not just for them. They're going to carve out their own future, but what they're going to do is to make sure that you've got the same chance to take this opportunity the next 8 years and make it something that you'll be proud of, hand down to your children and your grandchildren, and get the job done in the next 8 years. But that's going to be up to you. Herbalife's going to take care of its part, the leadership's going to take care of its part, the products are going to be taken care of, so all of this is behind you and ready to go. And then the camaraderie of all the distributors, not only from your own organization, but distributors from other organizations that you can draw from your own strength and for your own power. I'm telling you, there's nothing like it. The only thing that might be lacking is your dreams for the future, your goals for the future. And I hope that you have taken the lid off of your ability to dream big dreams, think big thoughts, go for some big amounts. You know, the company picked this number, 400 million. Let not that rest here. You start picking some numbers for yourself that'll make you stretch and make you reach and make you grow, make you get up a little earlier and stay up a little later. The rest of the opportunity now is going to be up to you. That's the 4 parts. One